All right, it is that time again. If you are interested in promoting your brand, your music, or even yourself here on Viral Hip Hop News, email me, Sam Ent, at dlsmediainc1 at gmail.com. Let's go.
But maybe in the eyes of certain white women, she's close enough to it for them, and that's going to probably be a turned off factor. But like I said, if she's running for office, there's always a chance she
Yeah.
can win. And the Republicans, leave it to them to embrace bigotry and nastiness is going to turn people off. And like I said, Trump, you can kind of tell he's trying to move in a more disciplined manner. But unfortunately, some of his loudest supporters are some of the nastiest, most bigoted people, and they just turn people off. Hell, it turns me off a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to let emotions get involved and think policy.
Do you think that, because I'm about to go at us a little bit kind of heavy, because we often, as a people, collectively as a people, we really ride off of emotion. Do you think that how we're perceived in society, in particular how hip hop looks at us, how our culture is perceived via these airways, and how society looks at us, that's the reason why immigrants look at us like we're nothing? That's the reason why people think they can come in this country and step all over us. That's why Americans don't really take us seriously. Because you talked about how you were at that, how you do speeches, and primarily you talk to a lot of people that are on the far right, but you get standing ovations as a proud black man, educated black man, knows what he's talking about, but unapologetic about his people. There's a respect level that could come to that. Do you think because how we're perceived and how we're promoted out here, we're not taken seriously, or that's why maybe people look at us like we're the bottom of the totem pole? Why do you think that dynamic is so drastic? Because collectively we're looked at bad, but there's millions and millions of real good educated black people out here that could really, do some shit if we really collectively came together. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, let me say, I speak to everyone. I've got standing ovations at not necessarily liberals, because the liberals can't stand me. I can't stand them either. But I've spoken very Democratic loyalist crowds, and I've gotten standing ovations for them too. When you stand your ground, even if people don't like you, if you are authentic, people will typically respect you, at least, even if they can't stand your guts. I don't think that's the reason, because first of all, you got everyone trying to claim hip hop. I mean, you got people talk about some Latinos and Hispanics created hip hop or were instrumental hip hop's creation. No, they weren't. You got people saying Caribbean was instrumental hip hop's creation. No, they weren't. Our people were breakdancing in the 1800s on the plantations, were rapping in the 1920s and the 1930s here in the deep South states. So people love hip hop. But when hip hop is in the news for something that's negative, then all of a sudden it becomes a black thing. When hip hop is on the world stages and getting all that praise, everybody wants to claim it. Russians want to claim it. But when it's being, slandered in the media, all of a sudden, oh, that's those blacks over there. Those black Americans. You see, they don't have no culture. They're degenerate. Also, look at how they portray the African continent. I've been to 6 African nations. They show Africa as a hinterland, a wasteland, filled with HIV and all kinds of other diseases. People are illiterate. Things are underdeveloped. That's how they show Africa. Right. Now, it's a big continent with a variety, with 54 countries. Some areas are very developed, some areas are not. I've been to 6 nations, I can tell you. However, a lot of us know that's not the way that African continent really is. I mean, you may have some issues in some areas, but you cannot just blanket the whole continent. We don't, at least a lot of us, we don't run around portraying a lot of Africans that way. We use the internet that we have now to do research for ourselves. So there may be some ignorant people who don't. But my thing, it's not an excuse for anyone to be ignorant, especially you coming to that person's country. I have something to say. If you think Black Americans are so ignorant and we're to the bottom of the totem pole, don't come to a country that has Black Americans. Stay in your nation and build your nation up. Because my thing, you coming to our country. I'm not going to yours. So who really should be looked at? Or who really should be looked down upon? And yet I don't look down upon anyone. So no, that's not an excuse at all, because we can look at how they show other nations. They show other nations in the American media sometimes in horrific ways. And that's not an excuse for any of us to look at people from those nations as less than. Latin America, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, which I love Guatemala. I've been there. I love the beautiful country, beautiful people. Honduras, I've been to Brazil, been to Colombia. Those are fantastic countries. But those countries have some of the highest homicide rates in the world. I mean, insane murder rates. Wow. Do I look at all those people as murderers and killers? No. South Africa has some of the highest rates of rape in the world, so high that they created a vaginal condom that has little razor teeth because women are getting raped so bad over there. Do I look at South Africa as all rapists? Absolutely not. No, I don't. If you look at Europe, Europe has been the most war-torn continent in history. World War I was just really a big European tribal war that ended up killing tens of millions of people. Then they outdid themselves with World War II. Before that, they was having feudal wars all the time. Do I dare say Europeans are war-loving criminals? No, I don't. Look at pedophilia. White men account for 90-95% of all people arrested for pedophilia in America. Do I ever look at white men in America and say they're pedophiles? No, that's disgusting. I would never do that. So we're not about to play this game where just because we got a few like Sexy Red, people showing this degenerate stuff in the media, that somehow represents all of us, and that's an excuse for you to look down upon me. Absolutely not. I'm not going to tolerate it. And even if one of our people's not well educated, not well spoken, a person's worth, a person's intellect is not dictated by the degrees or how well read they are. I meet many people who have not had a lot of opportunities. Heck, I haven't had a lot of opportunities because me being in South Carolina was just one of the poorest states, and it's just unfortunately the way it is in America. That's a whole other conversation. But I meet plenty of people who have not had a lot of opportunities, and I've learned a lot from them. These people have great insight. These are good people. So no, that's absolutely not an excuse. People look down upon us because that's just the American way. Remember, during slavery, they had to make us seem less than human to try to justify American slavery. During Jim Crow, they would do minstrel shows with black faces, making us seem as if we were barbarians so they can justify lynching us. They can justify racial massacres. They're doing the same thing today. That's why even though FBI data, less than 1% of black people any given year commit a violent crime. That's FBI facts. I dare someone to prove me wrong. Less than 1% of black people commit a violent crime any given year. But if you look at the news, you'll think we was all just running around raping, killing, robbing. Yeah. They also don't talk about how black people, especially black men, 55 to 70% of the people wrongly arrested and wrongly convicted are black people, and especially black men. No one talks about that. So this is all social programming that America has always done to try to treat us in a dehumanizing manner.
Killed that.
Yeah, powerful, man. I know you got a prior engagement you got to get